Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited to be joined today by Gunnar Miller. How are you doing, Gunnar?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on with me. We're going to be talking about sales execution today. And given your background in pro wrestling and now sales leadership, I believe the perfect title for our show today is Wrestling the Deals. Sound good?
Hey, it sounds like a great title to me.
So to kick things off, I want to thank our sponsor, Zero Down Supply Chain Solutions, founded in 2003 by my friend Brad McBride. He's a college football athlete like you, Gunnar. And if you want to reduce your spend on shipping via LTL, parcel, or mail, be sure to click the link below for more information. So for starters, Gunnar, what was it like playing football in college and getting recruited into the pro wrestling world?
Well, that's two questions that we could do a whole podcast on, right? Give you
Yes.
the short story. Playing football in college was a dream of mine. Growing up, I always wanted to go to college to play football or baseball, and I wanted to go play professional ball of some sort. That was kind of my dreams growing up, my aspirations. So I wanted to go D1, no matter what it was, and I got the opportunity to do that at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I was the last one that they signed going into that signing class when Coach Rush Huseman came over, and it was one of those opportunities where I showed up and I was like, oh, I am not ready for this. My high school didn't prepare me. The coaching didn't prepare me, and I wasn't as a high caliber football IQ as I thought I was at the time at a 3A public school in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So, I got thrown to the wolves, and we just kind of figured it out. I became a 4-year starter, a captain of a Southern Conference championship team, and ended up having a pretty good career there. Made a bunch of great friends, and it was awesome. And throughout that process, I didn't get to do the professional aspect of it like some of my buddies did who got drafted. But another sport did come calling, and that was the WWE, and I was recruited by Gerald Briscoe from the WWE, and I had a tryout in June of 2014 as soon as I finished up. So it was an awesome experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's awesome, man. So getting recruited into pro wrestling, I can't imagine. What was that like? What was it like? How did that go?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually was a fan of the Ultimate Warrior growing up. He was a little bit before my time. I was born in 91. He was kind of a big guy then. So when I got into the football, I started painting my face up like the Ultimate Warrior, and we played Nebraska. The first game of my sophomore season, I had a really good game. There was an article written about me, and in that article, I referenced the Ultimate Warrior. Well, this is when he was doing a comeback as far as like YouTube, motivational stuff, social media. He saw this article and he retweeted it, and then he followed me, and then he started conversations with me, and then he got my number, and where I gave him my number, and I was like, I'm gonna get catfished here by the Ultimate Warrior, and he called me. I got a phone call from the Ultimate Warrior just about every week leading up to every game, preseason. He gave motivational videos to my team as well. And one day he asked me about professional football. I said I was realistic. I have neck injuries, probably not going to make it. He said professional wrestling. I said I've done zero wrestling. There's less roster spots. I'm even more realistic. That's probably not even a shot. He goes, well, I'm the Ultimate Warrior, and Vince likes football players. The next week I was getting recruited by the WWE and their athlete division, which was Jerry Briscoe. So that's pretty much how it happened. And unfortunately, he passed away before I was going to meet him that June. He passed away that April, but a great guy. He did a lot for me, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. He made it to the very top of the profession.
Sure,
and boy, it was something else to watch him. Good grief.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome.
That's really cool that he called you and brought you in, basically. That's very, very cool. So I'm going to show our audience a clip of you, Gunnar, in action right here. So check it out, everyone. So cool to see that. These days you're a podcaster, part-time wrestler, and a vice president of sales with 12 Point Logistics. Sounds like you have a full plate.
That's not to mention that I'm recently engaged, planning a wedding, and I've got a 6-year-old running around here as well. So yeah, the plate's full, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Growing up since I was 4 years old, I've always been at the ballpark. Funny story. People seem to call me the athlete of the family. My sister, April Miller Rasky, Hall of Fame softball player at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, pitched against the Olympic team, like stud athlete, right? So I've been at the ballpark my whole life. I came as soon as she was finishing up, and I'm just used to the schedule. I'm used to being busy. I'm used to having something to do, to train for something, to have a goal, to fail, to look for something else, to figure out ways to win. I'm just used to being busy. If I'm not busy, I'm depressed. So I like a full plate, and I'm always hungry.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you do enjoy a full plate, and that's really cool too. So, I was asking you about your sales journey. You and I had a chance to kind of talk offline a little bit. You mentioned a role to me where you took a company from 1 million in revenue to 25 million in revenue. How did that come together?
Sure, and that might have been a little bit misinterpreted, but so our company has went from obviously 1 million to 25 million, and the account that I have brought did do a large chunk of that, but I'm not going to take all the credit for no means. 12 Point Logistics, we're out of Saudi Daisy. This company started up in 2019. I came on February 2020. Now I know they were doing a little over 1 million revenue up to that point. That year brought on a pretty big account. We did about 6 million. The next year we did 17, and we're pacing 25 this year. Worst case scenario, we'll do 22. So that's what I mean when I say we've taken a company from 1 million to 25 million. And with my role being the vice president of sales and now handling all of our training of our sales team, the managing of our sales team, the leading of our sales team, and kind of installing a little bit of a cradle to a grave aspect with a split model approach as well. If you get a large enough account, I think those are some of the reasons why that we're starting to have success. Plus, we have a great operations team, a great customer service team, and a fantastic executive team with Jake Lowe and Jordan Matthews. So, we're set up for success here at 12 Point, and it's our fault if we mess it up.
That's a tremendous sales trajectory that you just talked about. That's not easy to do. I've been in sales for 20 some odd years now. And to have that kind of growth trajectory, obviously, it takes more than just the sales side. It takes execution, customer service, but you guys must be doing some things right for sure to get to that point. So, I've talked with a lot of athletes over the years who ended up going into the sales profession for whatever reason. Why do you think that is?
I think a couple things stand out and come to mind. One of them being that athletes are extremely competitive. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to find a way to get better. And the easiest way to do that is to have something to measure. In most sports, we have stats. At the end of every game, there's a winner and a loser. So we know how well we did. Within that game, you have batting averages and touchdowns and completion percentages and tackles and all these different things. Well, in sales, you have the same thing. Your money is your wins and your losses. But there's so many different stats behind the money that can make the money go up or money go down depending on how well you do in those specific categories. Maybe that's your actions. Maybe that's your outbound phone calls. Maybe that's your closing percentage. Maybe that's how you handle objections, or if you actually even know what the objections are going to be to even have a rebuttal for it. It's an athlete mindset, and I think that's why it's such an easy crossover into sales and why guys are successful. And you'll see the guys that maybe were in sports that don't come over to sales and become successful is because they were the guys that were, stopping before the line at the games. They were the guys that weren't doing the extra rep. They're the guys that missing practice. Those are those type guys. Because if you have natural ability, you can kind of fake it in sports. But natural ability gets you nowhere in sales. You got to have that work ethic, and I think that's why athletes stick to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very competitive. It's fun. There's the wins. Of course, there's the losses. But you just work hard to get more and more wins, and there's the stats, like you said, is revenue growth, all those kind of things instead of tackles and all of those other things. So,
sure.
What would you say are 2 or 3 keys to success for making a big impact in sales?
Well, the first thing you got to do is come in, and let's say you're on a team environment, you've got to fit in with the team. So you got to figure out, what is it that your manager is looking for out of you? What is it that your leadership team is looking for out of you? And overall, you got to have a decent understanding of the business and the money behind the business, because like, what does your company need from you? All right. And now you can kind of go out and figure out, well, this is, my monthly cost. So I've at least got to cover this. So what do I have to do to bare minimum cover this? All right. Now I want to make some money. What's my commission structure look like? Now you got to reverse engineer that. I think the keys to success is reverse engineering the outcome that you want. And you need to live in the future. Don't live in the past. Don't live in the no. Live in the yes. When you pick up the phone and make a phone call, that customer is going to say yes. Make them say yes. But you got to get a no first. Even if you get a no, make that no mean yes.
Right.
Like,
A no
instead of,
doesn't
like,
necessarily mean it's over.
sure, no,
Right.
how you ask the question. Are you opposed to doing something? They're probably going to say no. Well, that no just meant yes. Like, you got to ask the questions the right way to get the answer that you want, whether it is no or yes, it's all the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've been through a lot of different sales trainings in my career. And a lot of times that no is their hesitancy, right? So then you have to talk with them about, what are your concerns? What is it that we can help you, understand? What are you not, so it's how you approach it from there. If they just say, I don't think so, I'm not sure, I don't think so, then you just end right there. That's not going to be very good for your career, probably.
And another thing, real quick, not take too much time, but I would say personal branding is probably right up there with any type of sales skills that you can have in this market these days. Like, the more of a brand that you can become yourself, the more that people are going to know you outside of just, 12-point logistics, whatever it is. When they think freight broker, I want them to associate Gunnar Miller. Like, that's the type of brand that you want to go out there and do.
Right.
And that's where the podcasting comes from, the social media, the intertwining the pro wrestling with everything. Be different. Like, how many pro wrestlers are out there saying they're logistic sales professionals? I might be the only one. So it's a very
Right.
small niche. I can be that guy, right? So go out there and be the person you want to be. It's all about acting in a gimmick, and it's very pro wrestling. So, it's fun for me.
Absolutely. No, this whole era we live in, social selling, it's here, I think, to stay. And people want to know you, right? They want to know a little bit about you and get to know you a little better before they can actually do some business with you. So I think absolutely what you're doing fits, perfectly. So, Gunnar, what are some of the best ways for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'd love for you to do is go to YouTube, go to the CWG podcast, which stands for Chat with Gunnar Podcast. Subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. We've got about 2,170 subscribers. I'd like to get that up to around 3,000 here as soon as we could. You can go over to Twitter and follow me at Gunnar Miller. The L's in Miller are ones. So my number was 11, Gunnar Miller. L's are ones. You can find me at LinkedIn. You can just Google me for the most part, type in wrestling, and I'm the only Gunnar Miller that's going to be wrestling. So you're going to get all kinds of stuff. Probably find out stuff that you really don't want to know. But at the end of the day, that's me and that's my story, and I can't change it. So go find me.
I love your story, man. I was telling you offline too. I grew up with wrestling. I have two brothers. We would do drop kicks on each other, hurt each other, break a little furniture, but had some fun times doing it. So absolutely. Well, you know what? Thanks again for coming on with me, Gunnar. Really appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on. And next time I can do it, I'd love to get on. Maybe I can get you on mine as well.
Absolutely. I'd love to come on anytime, man. So that's going to do it for this episode. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.